Hello, and welcome again.
We're on two cameras, by the way, Martin's and mine, so...
It's setting them up as well.
Yeah.
So we're into nice sunny spring. Well, the sunshine is just pleasant in and of itself. But yeah, it's good to be back with you again. And I was just reflecting with Lee on some of the things we want to share today, and one particular incident stuck in my mind on the last demo in Brum, walking along, and there was a young father with a young toddler, a little lad, in his arms, and the mother standing at the side, and they were walking quietly, and there was almost a sad expression on their face. And I'd been filming up to that point, and I looked at them and thought, it's a shame I've turned the camera off. It just stuck in my mind that this little boy was what it was all about, his future. And it makes it worthwhile what we were all doing. And some of the things we have to talk around quite a bit, because we're aware of people.
Just go back to that a second. Yeah. I've just visited my mum and dad, and as I come out the house, there were two neighbours, two families from down the street, having a chest puffing argument in the middle of the road in bedroom slippers. There was, I could see one was going, calm it down, the other one was doing all this, and you could see they was having an argument, some kind of problem. But when it comes down to the kids, yes, this has been about rejecting things that will make the next generation suffer. You know, I mean, we're getting on a bit, we ain't got that long left, really, let's be frank about it. Why would you want to do this to the kids? We've had our chance, we've had our life, we've had our childhood, our teens, our 20s. Why would you want to put the kibosh on somebody else having it? And so as far as the kids are concerned, if you went up like these neighbours, if you went up to one of them and says, right, I'm going to stop your kid doing this, they'll go, you won't, it's my kid, you won't tell my kid what to do, I'm in charge of my, and it'll be all this. But what the government has been doing and planning, and the control that they've been trying to bring in, it's going to leave your children in a worse state and in a worse world than what your neighbour could ever possibly do. So yeah, it's about, a lot of it is about stopping this, because if you allow it to continue, the powers that be, they ain't going to stop it. You've got to make them stop it. Otherwise, why wouldn't they want more control?
Absolutely.
More parent control? Because they would.
Yeah. I want to speak a few instances of about this. Now, we've brought it up in the past in numerous videos about people stepping out into the road. Lee's commented on it many times, driving a car, and his frustration and, in a sense, panic, not wanting to hit people. And a few more instances. We were standing at the bus stop, me and Janie, and two little lads with the black muzzles just stepped into the road as a car swung round the corner, and he slammed on his brakes, and they just walked across the road without even looking at the car and just carried on. As they approached me and Janie at the bus stop, I said, lads, please look left and right. You almost got cleared up. But it made me wonder, again, this whole thing, is oxygen getting to the brains of these people? Same thing happened again. I was going to work with a friend who gives me a lift. And again, a young man in his 20s stepped out with this on, but no looking left or right or anything, just walking out. And just yesterday, I was in a supermarket coming through the checkout, and as I went through, there was a lady with the muzzle on, standing in the aisle, blocking all the people with their trolleys from going to the exit and leaving, because she had her receipt with the muzzle on. She's going and checking each item on it and standing there checking away, and it brought back remembrances of what Lee said previously, that these people will be absolutely fantastic at finding it if they've been diddled a penny or two, but checking the bigger picture, no, they pay no attention to that at all. They just believe the narrative. And as I went past her, because I had to push my trolley through, I actually said out loud, I said, Lee was right. And of course, you were right. I knew it when you said it, but in that instant, it brought it to my memory, and I said, yeah, Lee was right, and pushed me back to the way home. And just one last one on that. Janie bumped into an old work colleague who said she was doing okay, but she'd had an operation on her sinuses because a man in a white coat had told her she was wearing too much of this, and it's affected her, so she needed an operation.
Yeah.
Did you want to comment on any of that?
Well, no, I mean,
you've said a lot on that.
As far as the oxygen starvation, or is it epoxy or something like that?
Yeah.
I did it in my flight training, flight medicine, years ago. I can't remember too much about it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you actually did bloods on somebody to find out, you can't really say. And people always walked out in front of cars, muzzles or no muzzles. But that being said, yeah, there does seem to be an increase of people. And it seems to be that they're a bit drunk as they're walking around, you know, and they've all got muzzles on.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's stifling them somehow or affecting their focus or oxygen levels. I can't say, but it appears to be, in fairness.
So, again, in the supermarket, when you go through the checkout, you sometimes find charities represented standing there advertising whatever it is. In this case, it was the Heart Foundation, and the lady addressed me, and I turned to her and shared with her that was she aware of the increase in these things that are happening that we know about.
Such as what my uncles just suffered.
And she wasn't. Basically, she wasn't aware of all these things. And I had a good conversation. And funnily enough, our friend Phil, she'd spoke to him and Gaz and someone else previously. And it was just funny that we'd all approached the same lady. And just a couple of incidents in a supermarket that made me reflect on the state of people, young people, working in the supermarkets today. As I was leaving one particular supermarket, on the way in, I'd observed there was a load of eggs. Someone had dropped a carton of eggs on this slope going up into the supermarket. And on the way out, I said to one of the ladies who worked there, you know, it may be wise for somebody to sweep it up because older people could slip on it. It's a right mess outside, you know. Yes. And she gave the impression she was going to do it. But another day I came back and the mess was still there, exactly the same. So it was just, yes, she, at face value, appeared she was going to do something. She never did anything. And another one, I had a word with a chap, a younger man, on the till, paying in cash and just commenting on it's nice to have cash and when this goes, our freedoms will go. And he looked blank. He never commented, nothing. Whether they're in fear of speaking or saying something different than people are used to, I don't know. But there was just nothing there. And of course, many young people aren't bothered really. I don't think they think too much what it would mean if cash disappears.
I think there's Ecclesiastes says there's a time and a season for everything. And I think there's a time and a season in all our lives for certain questions to be asked. And sometimes when you're younger,
Yeah.
you don't. And the reason for that is obvious. You are raised and conditioned to believe things are a certain way. Your media comes on the telly and tells you the truth. Your politicians put themselves up for election to represent you for your best interests, and so on and so forth. The police are there to protect you. And as you go through life, you realise this isn't always the case, and call it awakening or whatever, but it's got to happen to you. I think when God says it's time for it to happen, for the discernment of the Holy Spirit to wake you up, because like I say, when you're younger, you just go along with it, and some older people do. It's just not their time yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday, me and Janie, we had a little grandson with us. We were kicking the ball around in the park down the road, and we came across a friend we knew from church. We'd not seen him for a while. He'd not been well with cancer himself. This was before the last 2 year situation. But he had said that his youngest daughter, who was 25 years old, had a... Let me give the illustration of when you're a swimmer, you're doing a back. There's a word that you would use beginning with S. I think you know what I mean.
You do it with your dog as well.
Yeah. So she'd had one of those, and at the year of 25, really something seriously wrong with that. And well, it's shocking, isn't it? Your heart goes out to these people. They're ill themselves, and their children are ill. A clip that you may have come across of, I call him Jabham savagely, being interviewed on Sky News by Kay Burley.
The health minister in the UK.
She said you compared the to flu. Did you really mean that? Yes. So those people that were ridiculed for comparing to the flu, they should not have been ridiculed. I mean, it's an incredible turnaround, isn't it? And one is reminded in recent days as well of that man, the health minister of the WHO, the one in charge, beginning with F, who said that this would not be the first time, if it happened, that a big V that looked good in additional safety actually made people's worse. Did you hear that one?
I missed that one. Well,
Yeah.
I keep away from the mainstream. So if news has a way of reaching me, it finds its way to me. I don't go seeking it out.
Yeah, again, that one.
So I missed that one.
Yeah. And again, yesterday when we were in the park, we came across another neighbour, a couple of streets away, who works on the trams, taking the tickets. And her husband's been a bit of a depressive, but he used to work with Janie in care, and she said that she'd had all of them, and she felt very tired, but she was okay by and large. Her husband hadn't wanted to have any of them. He never really went too much against the narrative of the government, but he'd taken this decision. And I wonder how much the stickered bush shelters in our area had, because I know he used to stand there often in the bush shelters looking at these things, and I wonder how much they actually spoke, and it looks like it could be quite a successful case. Not so much of that going on nowadays. Things have calmed down a bit in that area, but yeah, I think that's a great bit of news there. That's something, because they speak, and they do speak.
Well, I noticed this. I've me and Martin spoke about it about 10 minutes ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
But in Lichfield, a very conservative city, if there's any profanity, which usually people wouldn't tolerate, or anything derogatory towards the Conservatives, then if there's a sticker like that saying the local MP is a effing rapist or something like that, I've seen these and they stay up. But you'd have thought, really, in a place like this, that would be the first one to be, something like that would be scratched off and pulled down. Now, in the early days, 2 years ago, when this first started, when everybody, well, pretty much everybody except us, were really following the rules and believing it, these stickers, these anti-narrative stickers were being ripped down pretty much immediately in Lichfield. The last 3 months, where you've had more and more people starting to ask questions and saying, have we been led up the garden path? You know, we're starting to think now we're being lied to with a lot of things. These stickers are staying up. They're not being pulled down in the same way or with the same speed as they were previously, which leads me to believe they always were hitting a nerve. Because from to be ripped off immediately straight away, somebody's ready to thought we can't have this, pull it down. But as they've started to open their eyes, I'm thinking, well, yes, it's true. And they knew it was true all along, but so they're more inclined to keep it up now. Which, like I say, to answer your question, it leads me to believe, yes, stickers, it is in its way a type of propaganda, but a good propaganda, because it's not lies, it's the truth. It's suppressed truth that the media and the government wasn't giving. So it's propaganda, yes, and propaganda works. So I think the stickers did work.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about them was the fact that when you peeled them off, they left a mess. And I don't, call me old-fashioned, but I don't like that.
Yeah. And we've had a lot of news on Canada situation and the horrors that they've been experiencing, the truckers. And it made me think at work, because these people would be greatly hated by many of the population now. I mean, he can't be a great, even in the Liberals' eyes. What do you think? In Canada, do they still love this man?
This is true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say I'm not Canadian. I don't live there. It appears that the truckers are getting more support from different quarters than what they did at the start. I think it's having the effects. Now Trudeau's really laying into them publicly. For people to say, actually, no, I'm just men and women who want to work and they don't want to be controlled in this totalitarian, authoritarian kind of way. Whereas if the truckers weren't there, they'd probably just go along with the government, and now they're questioning the government because of what the truckers have done. So I think it's been a positive thing. So I think possibly, I don't know, I can't be sure, but I think a lot of latent Canadians who would usually be going along with the narrative of starting to support the message of the truckers, which obviously means the tide is turning against Trudeau and stuff. But Trudeau himself is the same as all the world leaders, and I'll change my tune when I'm proven wrong. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm saying this is what I believe, and I'll keep saying it until I'm proven wrong. But Trudeau and Macron and Ardern and all the rest of all the world leaders, they're merely puppets.
Yeah.
They're put in that position. You do this job and you push this message, and we'll stick something in your back pocket and make sure you're all right. You're part of the club, so play your part. It's theatre. So Trudeau himself, if he don't exist, if you got rid of him and got a completely different person in, it'd still be the same play. Yeah. They're just actors.
Yeah, I agree, Lee. And I was at work and I thought, you know how you sometimes working and you get a thought and you stop, you pause in your work and you reflect on it. And I was thinking that people like him in Canada and others of these evildoers must have tremendous security around them. and of a type. I don't just mean normal security, or even the security of a politician in whatever before all this began. I'm talking about the sort of security you'd have around Hitler in the Second World War, special branches of the Waffen-SS, or you think of the fall of Ceausescu in Romania when the people were on the streets. At the end, before his very fall and arrest and then execution, you had these secret police in like leather coats going around shooting randomly into the crowd, killing people randomly to create fear amongst them. At all costs, they were trying to protect because they knew if he fell, they'd fall as well. And it must be the case that these people have big security around them. And that brings us on really to my last point I wanted to talk about, which is Russia. And as you said, it's a convenient, what was the term you used?
Convenient distraction.
Distraction.
Yeah.
Because we've been looking for this new year, sensing something completely different, hoping beyond hope, things are going back to a measure of normality. And lo and behold, just like a train that happens to be on time, we have this situation that could go anywhere, really.
And if it stops, it'd be space aliens, it'd be an alien invasion.
Yeah.
I'm just joking, but there's always going to be a distraction to take your mind. What you should be concerned about if you live in the UK at the minute is the Human Rights Act and what's being done with that, because that's going to impact your life and the lives of your children and descendants more than what's going on in Central Europe.
Do you have any thoughts where it could actually go? Do you think they just... Well, here's the thing, look. In what way is Putin any different with his oligarchs, any different than the globalist elite? All this cabal of evil.
I think it's part of it anyway.
Are they not all in it? Are they not all in it? Of course.
Yeah.
They must be in it. So it's a distraction. It's yet another turn, as you said on previous video, just a different set of clothes.
Same play. All playing a part, all the world's a stage. But when it comes to what's happening in Russia, I honestly don't understand all the
Ukraine,
the war in Ukraine. I don't understand any of it, really, to be honest with you. I can see what's happening, but I just don't know enough about what's going on. Because people have spoke about it, that it's Germany, it's the oil, the pipeline. There's all the different kind of reasons. My one mate was saying, well, Putin and his mates, when the Iron Curtain came, the Berlin Wall came down, them years after, they basically lost their pension funds. So when Ukraine went its own way, kind of thing, and they're trying to get it. I don't know, and I'm not claiming to know, but things I have seen, and I don't know whether they're true or not. You just can't tell this day and age. But I've seen supposedly, this could be misinformation, I don't know, but supposedly buildings that have been bombed in the Ukraine or shelled or mortared or rocketed, destroyed in any case, by the Russians as they're going in. Well, these are archive library pictures of like Belgrade years ago when that got it. There was one American journalist who's supposed to be the first one killed in this conflict. Well, he was supposed to have been executed by Al Qaeda about 10 years ago. So, but you don't know whether this is just misinformation to cloud the waters. I don't know. But, I'm keeping well out of it, really. To me, it's just a distraction. While everybody's looking at Ukraine, you're not concentrating on what's going on here, which will definitely affect you if these changes go through with the human rights. But basically, you've got more control. People have got more control over your life than what you would ever imagine, and you won't get it back. Why would you want to do that to your kids? As I come back to my first point, I was on about people in the street arguing for the kids, and yet they're quite happy to sit back and let the stuff that will screw the kids' futures up just go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, if it depends where this war goes, isn't it? If they just want to take, for whatever reason, we know Ukraine was part of the old Soviet Union as the Eastern Bloc. And equally, would we be surprised at this moment in time, possibly after this event, or at the same time, that China move into Taiwan? They always wanted that. Isn't it an ideal time? Who knows?
Time.
No way of knowing. But where's it going? And if it develops into something on a bigger scale that affects Europe, there is a lot of fear whipped up, which we know, which is what they want.
Yes, exactly.
But if it does go that way, I mean, they can bring in all manner of even more restrictions, even more, because now it's a war footing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works.
And so there's no way out of the ongoing
solution.
tyranny and legislation and nonsense that's going on.
I'm laughing not because of the subject matter, but because when I was driving home from the gym after work last night, and I got the radio on as usual, listening to the music, but the 6 o'clock news come on. And it says, oh yes, because of what's happening in the Ukraine now, the committee has decided to not allow Russia to take part in the Eurovision Song Contest. And I thought, I bet Putin's quaking in his boots.
It was the Champions League final in St. Petersburg, I think, that they cancelled as well.
What was it? Well,
or unless that's the same.
Yeah.
But it was the Eurovision Song Contest.
When it comes to making decisions that could theoretically cause thousands of deaths, having a football game altered might change your mind, mightn't it, kind of thing.
And so, got this through the door from the Tories, build back better in Sandwell. I mean, the usual slogan nonsense, all rubbish.
Slogan,
Anyway, have we...
Yeah, let's have a cup of tea.
We'll get
let's have a cup of tea.
So we'll say be seeing you.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.